What is going on, friends? Sean Don coming back with a technical analysis. Here we have VJ Turna, hammer thrower. I think maybe high school. I actually helped his brother out at a clinic a few years ago, good old Grand Valley State. So, fun to see the younger brother get at it, VJ. Alright, yeah, just getting straight into this video. No coaching plug, but if you do need it, gripandrip.co. Any sort of coaching that you could possibly need. Okay, so not bad. I think the biggest thing is just the orbit's kind of a little funky. We can start breaking it down. I think you did 3 winds. You know, it's a comfort thing to an extent. Yeah, 3 winds is okay. I think only 2 are really necessary. 3 is kind of adding in a little extra stability, and like if you don't build tempo, build rhythm through that 3rd wind. So if you start your winds too fast, 3 winds can actually be detrimental. So maybe just consider doing 2 winds. Literally, like think one strong or one first wind slow, second wind strong, and then start the throw. That's all you really need. Anything more than that, you're just playing with it, you know. Um, but regardless, so through these winds, start breaking it down now, frame by frame. Like first wind looks good, second wind looks good. You're stepping in a little bit, keeping good posture. Your arms are outstretched, turning and facing the right pretty well. And then what I think is interesting is in entry. Like entry looks pretty good. Left side relatively stable. Coming off that heel, which is kind of tough to do, but you're centered for the most part. And I think the only thing that looks weird is you kind of like your hand's going to go up around this left side. You kind of shrug those shoulders up, and kind of lift those hands up high around the left, which isn't a bad thing, but it's not the best thing. Where like I said, those hands coming up a little bit too high, shrugging those shoulders up, makes it a little bit hard on you for the rest of the throw because then it comes down, shoulders come down, ball kind of crashes on you a little bit. Low point is kind of far off to your right. And basically, with this whole thing, what I'm trying to get at is that your orbit needs to be a little bit more neutral. All right, so now your orbit is very tilted to the right. Your low point's off to your right. The high point's off to camera view right, like your left side. If you're facing double sports semantics, but you need your orbit to be a little bit more even, neutral. As I said, low point more at 0, high point more at 180. So with this kind of dramatic lift around that left side, you can see the high point is about 20, 30, 45 degrees after 90, about 135-ish. From there, ball kind of crashes on you, and ball's crashing on you this hard under this next turn. You catch pretty decent posture, hips underneath you, but you got to kind of fight the ball out of it. All right, so the only way to get the ball around in this situation when the hammer is so low on this right side is to kind of pull this left side. And instead of pulling, you just kind of, you're relatively stable. So you're not really pulling super hard, but you're really not getting your hips up into it either because the hammer is so deep on this right side. So you got to get your hips forwards up into it. As you see, as the hammer goes left, you can see this really, there's this left side shifting back. This right side doesn't really do much. This left side shifts back, opens up. You can see a little bit of movement forwards towards 180. But this right leg is kind of too far behind you. You got to get these hips tucked under you tucked under you a little bit more and get your hips up towards your hands. And then, because as you can see here, like your direction up until about this point is okay, and then it kind of stops as you start to transition. And your hands are very high up above the head again. You don't really want this angle, this torso and arm angle. You really don't want it to be greater than 90 degrees. And like, so let's say if you want to keep this angle the way it is, the way to do that is to get your hips more forward. So if your hips are more forwards, this torso, let's say if you could draw a line about right here, your hips are more forwards, torso angle would be more about 90 degrees if you got your hips more forwards, which would be good. Otherwise, ball rises up. You can see hands kind of come above the head, above the eye line a little bit. Same thing. You catch, and it's so high, and your right leg is so kind of so far behind everything that like you could catch much earlier. You could catch probably about right there if the right side was a little bit more with it in that previous turn, but since it's a little bit behind, you don't catch until, like I said, ball's already coming down on you. And then from here, you got to fight out of it, which is really hard because the ball's pulling you down, so you have to be stronger than the ball and overpower it, which is usually not the most efficient thing. You're throwing a lighter, like 12K, or 12 pound, or 6K, sorry. Mix those two together. If you're throwing a lighter hammer like you are in high school, it's not as big of a deal, but you can see when you catch, you land flat-footed, and then you have so much weight on this right side that you don't really know what to do with it. You can't quite work out of it. So you see this right foot is very stagnant up until the ball gets to about 0. Try to be on the ball of the foot a little bit more, turning, working that right side, working that hip up into it. You can see good direction here, back through the left side. You're rotating backwards to 180, which is good, but same thing. You can see this left side's doing most of the work. This left foot's opening up much earlier than the right, so this left is ahead, this right is behind. Hands come up again, high. You can see the orbit's starting to get a little bit more even, like high point is getting closer to 180, but it's still just a little bit too high, and you're just barely hanging on to the ground, so you got to be a little bit more grounded. This left leg's quite straight. Got to kind of drop it forwards, and you get a little bit of glide in that left heel too. That's a sign that that left side's pulling across. Big sign right there. Left side's pulling across. Got to get forwards to drop this left knee forward onto the toe, get a little bit more direction. And then same thing, you catch, you're coming down with the ball too. That's a big thing. Hammer's coming down from the high point. You're coming down with it when you should already be down while the ball's up. And then you should kind of stay one level more than anything. And you can see here your chest is a little bit forwards, hips aren't quite underneath you. And you're trying to work your hips up, and you kind of do, but by this point it's a little bit too late. And you can see you kind of have to like hook the hammer across your body instead of getting the hips properly up into it and facing. So like this is a big crossbody finish rather than being able to get the hips open up and finish out into the sector, facing the sector. So, I mean, overall not too shabby. It's just, like I said, you got to think about getting that orbit a little bit more neutral. Maybe, like I said, it really comes down to maybe trying to set the low point up more at 0 at the start, but mostly just trying not to lift the hands around the left side, because that's kind of what makes things hard on you. And then from there, it's a matter of orbit or evening out the orbit, and then getting that right side into it a little bit more. Where, like I said, this right leg is just a little bit behind of everything, and this left leg is just a little bit ahead. So you got to balance out that left and right side sort of tension, I guess. And then you'll be on your way, dude. And it's not too shabby. Get down the legs a little bit more, little things like that. Maybe come back for a technical analysis in a couple months, and I'll be able to help you out even more once you get some of this stuff sorted out. So let me know if you have any questions, VJ. If anybody else out there would like any technical analysis, throws programming, lifting program, hit up gripandrip.co. All right, it's my coaching website. Also, Grip and Rip merch is out. Shirts, long sleeves, hats, stickers. All right, go get some. They're selling like hot cakes, I guess. You know, I heard a lot of good things. I really love all the stuff. So go give it a look. All right, thank you for watching. Until next time, Sean Don, signing off.